Your time is up, Cameron.
You hold on. You hear me? Don't you let this place swallow you.
By the end of Cameron's first week, Angola had given him a strange kind of routine. Wake up to the lights, snapping on, like a slap. Count. Chow. Work. Yard. Chow again. Lockdown. Count. Lights out. The hours looked the same on paper. It was the little things that made them different. Like the way Malik always knocked the sole of his boot lightly against Cameron's bunk in the morning. Up, Baptiste, he'd say. You ain't gonna win an appeal in your sleep. Or the way Herb slid an extra packet of sugar onto Cameron's tray some days without looking at him, muttering, You look like you need it, son. Or the way Reese watched from across the chow hall now and then, his gaze sliding over to Malik like a reminder. This thing over. Cameron felt it all. The kindness, the danger, the thin line between. He'd come in thinking prison would be a solid block of misery. Instead, it was layers, deals, and quiet loyalties that could mean the difference between making it to the next day or not. And somehow, in the middle of all that, there was Malik. They sat at the narrow metal desk in their cell, shoulders almost touching, the surface cluttered with a dull pencil, a wrinkled form, and a folded legal pad Herb had found for them. Okay, Cameron said, squinting at the small print. If he's been having chest pain and they're not responding to sick call requests, we document dates, details. Make it hard to ignore. Malik snorted. They've been ignoring Herb since I got here. Yeah, well, Cameron said, writing carefully in block letters, they haven't ignored me yet. Across the block, the TV blared a daytime talk show, turned low and echoing. A domino game cracked and clicked 4 cells down. Why you even helping him? Malik asked. You could spend your time writing your own lawyers. Cameron shrugged, not looking up. Because he asked. Because I know how. Because if it were my chest and nobody cared, I want someone to at least put it on paper. Malik watched him, eyes softening. Look at you, he said, trying to be the Angola NAACP. Cameron almost smiled. Somebody has to be. He finished the last line and pushed the form toward Malik. Here, have him sign. Mail it certified if you can. Make noise. You know that just make him mad, right? Malik said. Mad guards ain't what you want. Guards with paper trails are less dangerous than guards with clean hands and dirty habits, Cameron said. Trust me. College boy talking again, Malik teased. You asked, Cameron said. Malik did ask. More than he meant to. He liked watching Cameron like this, brows furrowed, fingers ink-smudged, chewing the inside of his cheek while he thought. You could almost see his brain working, still sharp, still trying. It did something to Malik, made him remember when he'd come in with that same stubborn spark before years of bad news and dead ends dulled it down. In return, Malik taught Cameron how to play spades. They sat side by side on the hard bench at a metal table bolted to the day room floor, cards in hand, the surface scuffed from years of games. Herb and another man sat across from them, leaning in like they were at a lesson. Okay, Malik said, dealing. First rule, don't renege. You do? I'm revoking your Creole card personally. I don't even know what that means, Cameron said, frowning at his hand. It means don't act brand new, Malik said. You grew up in New Orleans. I know somebody played spades in your house. My mother didn't like cards, Cameron said. She said gambling was a sin. That how she said it? Malik asked, slipping into a soft, church lady voice. Gambling is a sin, Cameron. Cameron choked out a laugh, head dropping. That's actually pretty close. Malik grinned, warmth spreading through his chest at the sound. You hear that, Herb? He said. I found me a church boy. Watch them church boys, Herb said dryly. They either the wildest or the guiltiest. Sometimes both. Cameron made a face. I'm not focused, Malik cut in, nudging Cameron's knee with his own under the table. The bub lingered half a second longer than it needed to. You lead hearts or clubs? Cameron thought about it, chewing his lip. When he finally laid a card down, Malik let out a low whistle. See? He said. You a natural. Give you a month, I'm gonna have you taking folks' commissary in here. Absolutely not, Cameron said. But he was smiling now. I'm not hustling people over card games. Malik tilted his head, watching that smile. You already hustling, Malik said, quietly. Just at pens and paper, instead of cards. Cameron's gaze flicked up to his. For a moment, the world narrowed down to the stretch of space between them, the brush of knees, the noisy day room, and the single point where their eyes met. Something unspoken slid between them there. Not a promise, not yet. Just the recognition of something building, slow and steady. Herb cleared his throat. Far be it from me to interrupt whatever this is, he said, amused. But some of us would like to finish this hand before lockdown. Malik blinked, breaking eye contact. Yeah. Let me show this boy how to lose gracefully. You're the one losing, Cameron pointed out. Not from where I'm sitting, Malik muttered, too low for anyone else to catch. 2 days later, Cameron's name came crackling over the tier loudspeaker. Baptiste, you got a visit. The words landed like a punch and a lifeline at once. His palms went slick. His stomach did a slow flip. He hadn't seen his parents since he'd been moved from Paris jail to here. Phone calls weren't the same. Letters definitely weren't. Malik glanced up from where he was sitting on the bunk, cleaning his state-issued sneakers with a scrap of cloth. You gonna change your shirt? He asked. Cameron blinked. I only have 2. So, Malik shrugged. Wear the one you ain't sweated through. Moms notice everything. Cameron opened his mouth to argue, then shut it. He swapped the shirt anyway. As he buttoned it, he caught Malik watching him. Not openly, just quick glances at the line of his shoulders, the unsteady set of his hands. You ain't got to tell him everything, Malik said quietly. About here, about Reese, about any of it. Cameron's throat felt tight. They're going to ask. Tell him you eat. You sleep. You got folks looking out, Malik said. Say it like you believe it, even if you don't. You think lying is better? Cameron asked. I think your mama got enough to worry about without picturing every little thing that could happen in here, Malik said. Trust me. His tone made Cameron pause. Something old and tender flickered under it. You get visits? Cameron asked. Sometimes, Malik said, when my mama can get a ride. Money don't always stretch. His eyes drifted, like he was looking at something far away. First time she came, she cried so hard, they almost made her leave. After that, I started talking about weather and food and TV. She ain't stopped worrying, but it took that edge off. Karen nodded slowly. Okay, he said. I'll try. Malik gave a short nod back. Go on then, college boy. Don't keep her waiting. As Cameron stepped toward the door with the escorting guard, Malik called after him. Hey, Cameron turned. Straighten your shoulders, Malik said. You Baptiste, remember? Act like they raised you right. It was half joke, half blessing. It followed Cameron all the way down to the visitation room. Cameron's heart flipped when he saw his parents. His mother sat on the edge of a plastic chair, hands clenched around a styrofoam cup, fingers tapping against a tin rim. Her hair was wrapped neatly. She wore a simple dress, but everything about her posture screamed Sunday best nerves. His father stood behind her, one hand on the back of her chair, suit jacket off, tie loosened. He looked like a man who hadn't slept properly in months, but refused to wrinkle. When they spotted Cameron in his brown uniform, something in both their faces shifted. Pain, pride, grief, all tangled up. "Baby," his mother breathed, rising before the guard cleared her, eyes shining. "Ma," Cameron said, voice cracking. They met at the table, hands reaching instinctively across the surface, until the guard cleared his throat. "One embrace at the start," the guard said. "Then you sit." It felt obscene to have an officer dictate how much he could touch his own mother, but Cameron didn't argue. He stepped into her arms, breathing in the familiar scent of her, powder and something floral, the same lotion she'd always used. For a moment, Angola faded. He was just her son again. His father hugged him next, stiff, strong. A quick squeeze, then release. "Sit, son," his father said. "Let's talk." They settled at the table. Behind them, other families did the same. Kids fidgeted, voices rose and fell. Somewhere, a baby started crying. "You look thin," his mother said immediately. "Are they feeding you?" "I'm fine, Ma," Cameron said. "Food's not great, but it's food." She searched his face, like she could see through the practiced calm he put on. "They treating you right?" she asked. "Nobody, Sheila," his father cut in softly. "Don't start. I have a right to know," she snapped back. "My child is in here with criminals." Cameron swallowed. "Technically, they consider me one too." His father's jaw tightened. "We know better than that." His mother's eyes glistened. "Because the judge, the jury, the DA, the papers—" "That's enough," his father said, sharp. Silence fell, brittle. Cameron stared at the tabletop, at faint carved initials and numbers from who knew how many visits before this one. "How were the appeals?" he asked, because it was easier than sitting in that quiet. His father exhaled. "Your attorney filed a petition with the Supreme Court. They've declined to hear it." The words landed like cold water. "So that's it," Cameron said, numb. "There are other avenues," his father said quickly. "Post-conviction, habeas. It's complicated, expensive." There it was, buried in the explanation. "We're not giving up," his mother insisted, fingers curling around his hand. "I pray every day. I light candles. Money doesn't grow on trees, Sheila," his father interrupted. "With already," she hissed, tears spilling over. "Already spent enough on your son? He didn't do this. She lied. You know she lied." Cameron flinched. "Please," he said. "Don't fight about me. Not here." His mother inhaled raggedly, pressing her lips together. His father rubbed a hand over his face. "I'm tired, son," he said, voice softening. "I'm tired of courtrooms and judges looking through us. I'm tired of meetings where people pretend to care about justice until it costs them something." He looked at Cameron, eyes raw. "I believe you. I will always believe you. But belief doesn't overturn verdicts." "So what do you say?" "I'm saying we have to be smart," his father said slowly. "Your grandmother left a little money. It's almost gone. We can keep chasing long shots until we have nothing left, or we can pause, see if anything new comes up. New evidence, a new witness, a change in the DA's office. Pause. Such a small word for something that felt huge. His mother shook her head, whispering, "How you pause on your child's life." Cameron's throat burned. He understood, logically. He knew how much lawyers cost. He knew their house had a second mortgage, that his younger sister had deferred college a year to work. He knew all of that. It didn't make it hurt less. "So you're done?" he asked, hoarse. "No," his father said. "We're regrouping." They talked about smaller things after that. His sister's job, his grandmother's health, church gossip. They laughed once or twice, brittle little sounds that felt like they might shatter if you looked at them too hard. When the guard called time, his mother clung to him like she never meant to let go. "You hold on," she said fiercely. "You hear me? Don't you let this place swallow you." He nodded against her shoulder, swallowing back everything he wanted to say about how it already had, how it was trying to every day. His father pulled him into one last hug, tighter this time. "We'll keep thinking," he said. "Keep looking. Maybe there's another way. Another way." The word stuck with Cameron as they walked him back to his cell. He just couldn't see what that way might be. When he came back, Malik was sprawled in his bunk, one arm thrown over his eyes. He moved it as soon as he heard the bars open. "Well?" he asked. "Mama cry? Daddy act like he on the board of the whole state?" Cameron dropped onto his own bunk, tired in a way that went past physical. "Pretty much," he said. Malik studied him. The set jaw, the two bright eyes, the way his shoulders sagged like the weight of bad news had finally settled in. "They still paying for lawyers?" Malik asked, voice softer. "For now," Cameron said. "But the big appeals did. Supreme Court won't hear it." "Damn," Malik said quietly. Cameron stared at the concrete opposite his bunk. "My father wants to regroup. Means he's tired. Means the money's almost gone." He laughed once, without humor. "Funny," he said. "Whole life, I was told, if you worked hard and did everything right, people like us had to be twice as good to get half as far. Nobody mentioned sometimes you can be 10 times as good and still end up here because one girl got mad and one DA wanted a headline." Malik nodded slowly. "Yeah, they don't put that in the college brochures." Cameron looked down. "What about your people?" he asked. "Your mother, does she?" "She don't have nothing to regroup," Malik said. "She got a job at the nursing home and another one cleaning houses sometimes. She took out loans we both knew she couldn't pay back for some public defender who barely remembered my name." He made back, staring up at the bunk slats overhead. "I told her to stop after the second year," he said. "Told her I wasn't worth all that." Cameron frowned. "You are?" Malik didn't answer right away. "Maybe," he said. "But I'm also stuck in here while she trying to keep a roof over her head. I'd rather she spend that money on AC and groceries than on some paper that say denied in fancy language." He turned his head, looking at Cameron. "So yeah," he went on, "must be nice to even think about regrouping with lawyer money." The words weren't sharp, exactly, just honest, but they landed between them like a small crack. Cameron bristled. "You think this is nice?" "I ain't say that," Malik said. "I'm just saying, we in the same cage, but we didn't come here the same way." "That's not my fault," Cameron snapped, then winced at how it came out. "I ain't say it was," Malik replied, calm. Silence stretched, tight. Across the tier, someone laughed at something on TV. A guard barked at another inmate to get off the rail. "I'm sorry," Cameron said finally. "I didn't mean to sound like you did?" Malik finished, one brow lifting. "Like an ass," Cameron corrected. Malik's mouth twitched. "Yeah, little bit." He shifted, propping himself up on one elbow. "Look," he said, "you got 2 parents who can take off work and come see you. You got a house they go back to at night. You got a name that means something outside these walls. That's real. You ain't got to pretend it don't matter." Cameron swallowed. "And you have what?" Malik smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I got a mama who loves me," he said, "and I got knowledge." "Knowledge?" Cameron echoed. "I know how these yards move," Malik said. "I know who to talk to and who to avoid. I know what water does when the river gets too high." His gaze sharpened. "You got money somewhere still," he said. "Even if it's not as much as it used to be, you got folks out there who still answer when you call." Cameron hesitated, then nodded slowly. "My grandmother left a trust," he admitted. "Not huge, but something. My father manages it. He's been using most of it for legal fees. There's a little left. Enough to pay one more big shot attorney?" "Probably not," Cameron said. "Enough to start over somewhere else if I ever got out. A tiny apartment, a used car." "Start over," Malik repeated. "You still thinking start over in here?" Cameron net his eyes. "What else am I supposed to think?" Malik studied him like he was weighing something. "You ever thought about starting over somewhere the courts can't touch?" he asked quietly. Cameron's brow furrowed. "You mean out of state?" Malik's lips curved. "I mean, out of everything." "You know where Angola sit?" he asked. "Not just on a map. In the world." "Louisiana," Cameron said, confused. "By the river." "Exactly," Malik said. "By the river. They built this place like a dam, for folks like us. Keep us in one spot so the rest of the state feels safe." He leaned in, eyes intent. "But dams only work as long as the water behave." Something cold and hot at the same time slid down Cameron's spine. "Malik," he said slowly, "what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about you got access to money and people," Malik said. "And I got access to information and opportunities. You sitting here waiting on judges to remember you exist. I'm sitting here watching storms roll through and gods get sloppy." He held Cameron's gaze. "You ain't the only one in here who didn't do what they said," Malik went on. "Difference is, most of us don't have nobody left with a checkbook outside. If we want out, we gotta find another way." Cameron's heart thudded. "You mean escape?" Malik didn't flinch at the word. "I mean," he said carefully, "if a man were to consider not spending the rest of his life in this place, he'd need 2 things. Somebody who know how to move in water and mud, and somebody who can make sure things are ready on the other side." "The other side of what?" Cameron asked, even though a part of him already knew. "The river," Malik said simply. "And maybe farther than that." Cameron's breath caught. "That's impossible." "So is getting out after the Supreme Court slammed the door," Malik said. "Yet here you are, still breathy, still writing letters like they gon' matter someday." He leaned in closer, voice dropping. "Tell me the truth, Baptiste," he said. "If a miracle happened and you walked out of those gates tomorrow, where would you go?" Cameron thought of New Orleans, of neighborhoods where everybody knew his family name, where whispers followed scandal like smoke. "I don't know," he said honestly. "Somewhere nobody knows me." "You speak Spanish?" Malik asked. "A little," Cameron said. Book Spanish. Real enough, Malik said. You ever been to Puerto Rico? Cameron blinked. No. I had a celly once, Malik said. Old head. Worked on boats. Talked about Puerto Rico like it was heaven. Said there's parts of San Juan where folks just mind their business. Beaches. Music. Food that remind you of home, but different enough to feel like a fresh start. Free. The word tasted dangers in Cameron's mouth. Puerto Rico is still U.S. territory, he said automatically. There are extradition agreements. Laws. Malik chuckled, low. Look at you, already thinking like a lawyer again. He slid his gaze back to Cameron, heat and challenge in it now. All I'm saying, he murmured, is if a man had money on the outside, and another man had the kind of know-how you only get growing up where I grew up, they might could figure something out together. Cameron's pulse hammered. The idea was absurd. Reckless. A fantasy spoken in the half-dark of a prison cell. But once said, it wouldn't unsay itself. You're serious, he whispered. Malik's eyes didn't waver. I'm tired of watching that river roll by from behind a fence, he said. Tired of waiting on people in suits to remember I'm human. You? Cameron thought of his father's tired eyes, his mother's shaking hands, the word pause hanging between them like a verdict of its own. He thought of Reese's grip on his shirt, of Herb clutching his chest as he climbed into his bunk some nights, breathing heavy. He thought of Malik's hand, flat over his heart in the yard, saying, "You don't owe nobody here nothing." I'm tired, Cameron said quietly. Of all of it. Malik's jaw flexed. He leaned back a little, like he'd gotten the answer he needed. All right then, he said. Maybe we start small. You listen when I talk about the yard, the guards, the weather. I listen when you talk about lawyers and money and trusts. A hint of a smile teased his mouth. Call it a study group, he said. Advanced course. Angola University don't offer this one in the catalog. Despite the fear twisting in his gut, Cameron huffed out a laugh. Professor Jones again? He asked. Guest lecture, Malik replied. You still the one with the books? Their eyes met, holding for a long breath. Underneath the joke, underneath the banter, something had shifted. The fault line between their lives, rich and poor, New Orleans and North Baton Rouge, law student and hustler, had cracked just enough for a new idea to slip through. Not an appeal, not a petition, an escape. Outside, thunder rumbled faintly in the distance again, even though the sky had been clear to count. Inside, in that small cell on Tier C, Malik tapped a knuckle against the wall, once, twice, like he was keeping time with something only he could hear. I told you, he said quietly. If you ever want out of here, you gotta think like water. Cameron lay back on his bunk later, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding. For the first time, since the gates had closed behind him, he let himself picture a horizon that wasn't framed by razor wire. Not just freedom. Freedom with Malik at his side, under some hot, bright sun, in a place where nobody knew what their files said. It was impossible. It was dangerous. It was the first thing that had made his chest feel anything like hope in a long, long time. And once hope starts moving, like a river after the rain, it's hard to make it stop.